Hello, BookTube. Well, we're back in the darkest depths of Mordor for a continuing library tour that seems to me to have less and less point to it every single day. But you seem to like it. When I refer to the depths of Mordor, I'm referring to this wooden hutch. There's a doorway here that in ye olden times, this was not separated from the room behind it. It was an entirely different room. But here it's been turned into a kind of hutch, a kind of open door closet with built-in shelves. And like every other book person, I saw built-in shelves and I immediately thought books, not crockery or plates or anything else. So I filled these shelves with books. But because it's reset and because the bottom shelf, the one on top of the bureau here, is extra sturdy, this has become a dumping place for books. So when I decided to continue with the library tour, I thought, why not grab the bull by the horns and just go to the place where the library is the worst? And it actually was a good idea, because the bottom shelf here of the hutch is now empty. It has been incredibly cleaned and neatened. That's great. That's just what I want to do. Doing that library tour forced me to pull everything off those shelves, look at it, see what junk was there, see what duplicates were there, see what things were there that I don't want anymore. Also find some things that I've been looking for. I had no idea was there. It forced me to organize that bottom shelf, which is great. That bottom shelf is now organized. So we're gonna go on. Because if I can get this whole hutch organized, that would be fantastic. I would love that. So we're on to the next shelf here. And we will start with this thing. I think this is from this year. So it absolutely should not be in here if it is. Yeah, this is from this year. This should be... I have a place that's set aside for books from this year that I keep. This is Peter Zendi, and this is the Powers of Reading, from Plato to audiobooks. And I thought it was very good. A little bit on the reductive side, but I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I tend to like books about reading, about the history of reading, about reading technology. I tend to like those anyway. And I did really like this. So what it's doing here, a perfect example of what I'm talking about. We want to put it back. It doesn't belong here. It belongs... I have a shelf for books from 2025 that I liked enough to keep. Then we have this thing. This is DC Compact Comics, where they reprint classics from their reprint line for $10 paperbacks. And they're doing really well, as I've said endlessly on this channel for now 8 years. If publishers would lower prices, they would get their audience back. If paperback books in the bookstore were $10, they would sell like crazy. They would more than make up for the production cost of selling them at a loss. But no. But DC decided to try this, and it's a huge success. And I found their one on Kingdom Come. I got their $10 paperback of Kingdom Come. Mark Waid and Alex Ross doing a classic some time has passed story about the iconic heroes of DC Comics, especially Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. What the world would be like if they retired for 10 years, maybe more than 10 years. What the world would be like if that were true, and what the world would be like if they came back. What would they do with the world? It's a deeply nerdy love letter to DC Comics. There are always two of these stories that are linked side by side, and rightly so. They are two great stories. One is Marvel's over at Marvel Comics, and one is Kingdom Come at DC Comics. But Marvel's is designed for readers to follow. It's designed for, I think, for readers to read it who know nothing about Marvel Comics, whereas this is really, really kind of designed for as the ultimate gift for DC fans. Oh, all right. Then we have a stack of old hardcovers. I made it known at the Brattle Bookshop, my bookshop. I made it known that I was reading the whole of Rex Stout's Nero Wolfe series, and it just so happened that while I was making that known, a bunch of Nero Wolfe hardcovers came to the shop. So I got them all. I had Zach bring them all over. They're these light little 1940s and 50s hardcovers that I love so much, and that unfortunately are now so collectible that my love for them comes too late, because I'm not going to pay $25 for one of these things. So we have The Golden Spiders, Nero Wolfe, an often filmed story. We have Justice Ends at Home and Other Stories, So not only Nero Wolfe, this is just short stories of Rex Stout. What do we have here? An omnibus of Nero Wolfe. This is all aces. So what is in here? Some Buried Caesar, Too Many Women, and Trouble in Triplicate. And Some Buried Caesar is about a prize-winning bull. And Too Many Women is exactly that. There has been a crime. Wolfe has been called on to investigate, but the field of investigate. Wolfe doesn't investigate. He doesn't leave his brownstone. He's enormous and lazy. But Archie Goodwin, his very handsome, very able dog's body, does do all the investigating. And in Too Many Women, the title is exactly accurate. The field of his investigation is a big company that has a gigantic showroom in the middle. The offices ring this huge arena that is just row after row after row of desks for typing women. And so it's basically Archie Goodwin solving a mystery in a harem. It's really, really good. We have Poisoner's Bane, or Poisoner's Base. These old covers here with this. Somebody was careful with these, put plastic coverings over them and everything. We have Three Men Out. We have Plot It Yourself. I was one of the few Nero Wolfe novels that I actually remembered from reading it the first time I read. I read all of these things originally, but some of them had faded so much that I was honestly having a hard time remembering what the gimmick was, especially what the solution was. Plot It Yourself is wonderful, though, and it was one of the ones that I did remember. We have another Nero Wolfe omnibus. This is Royal Flush. So what is in here? This is the fourth Nero Wolfe omnibus. So we have Fer de Lance, which is the first Nero Wolfe book. We have Murder by the Book, and Three Witnesses, which is three little stories. Rex Stout would often do that. He would often interlace full-length novels, although the full-length novels are not all that long. He would interlace full-length novels with sometimes a collection of short stories, and that would be the Nero Wolfe that you would get that season. We have Homicide Trinity, which starts off with an arresting crime. Rex Stout really had a knack for changing the pace of a story with a crime, right when you least suspect it. Really, really well done. We have In the Best Families. These are very simple covers. You'd think I wouldn't like them, but it's the lightness of the book. We have Champagne for One. And The Doorbell Rang. A very unusual Nero Wolfe novel, even for Nero Wolfe. This is a very unusual one. And the functional question that I had with these when Zach brought them over was, would I read them? I just think it would be a functional question with anything. Would I read them? Because I have been doing most of my Nero Wolfe reading on my Kindle. All of my Nero Wolfe reading on my Kindle. I've wondered, would I read these? But I did. They're light, and they have that period flavor to them that I just love. So, okay, then what? Then we can do crosswise books, and then we can finish for today. So we have, okay, this is a kid's book of Robin Hood, with Hildebrandt illustrations. Greg Hildebrandt does the illustrations, and they're quite good. They're suffused with light, as so many of his illustrations are. There's Robin Hood and Little John, Robin Hood and Will Scarlet, Robin Hood and Friar Tuck. It's wonderful stuff. It's a kid's book, but still. We have... okay. This is Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. This is The Authority, Volume 1, which is his superhero team from the Wildstorm days. This is neither Marvel nor DC at the time. The Authority has now disastrously been incorporated into DC continuity, but this is before then, and these are really effective. They're really, really rereadable. They're not all that nice. They're not all that... they're effective, but it's effective in the way that leaves a residue. I don't know quite how to explain it. There's no way to be... The Authority is the exact opposite of the comic books that I read growing up and that I love. The exact opposite of that. It is pure cynicism. It is pure nihilism. But boy, oh boy, when Warren Ellis is on, which is not often, he is really on. I wonder what a new comics fan would make of these. I really do. What else is here? We have an epic collection. This is the Amazing Spider-Man epic collection, Man Wolfe at Midnight, where, again, as everybody who's held this up on YouTube has pointed out, Man Wolfe is not on the cover, even though the appearance of Man Wolfe, Man Wolfe's a character in Spider-Man, and his appearance has a wonderful cover. Why wouldn't you use that as a cover? That's terrific. But no, instead they used this weird thing. But it's Spider-Man Epic Collection. It's a whole bunch of storylines that I really, really like. Okay, then we have another DC Comics reprint initiative. These were the compendium volumes. I keep meaning to look around and see how many of these exist now. You really get your money's worth. You pay $60, I think. Yeah, you pay $60, but you get a gigantic phone book size thing in color. And this is their compendium volume number 1 of Nightwing. Nightwing is Dick Grayson. He is the original Robin to Batman, only grown up. He takes on a generic superhero identity of his own. And the writer and artist here, the writer is Chuck Dixon, and the artist is the great Scott McDaniel. And they decided that they could make something really memorable and standalone about Nightwing if they gave him his own book. So they did, and it was great. The artwork, the Scott McDaniel artwork, is amazing. Just amazingly good. I'm just incredible. The panels are all just so crowded. It's just amazing. That's what I got this for, that run on Nightwing. This goes on, it gives you a lot more than that, but it gives you all of that as well. And there are other compendium volumes of Nightwing, I think. But there are compendium volumes of other people as well. And I would love to. I should make a mental note to check and see what's out there, what I might want. There was, for instance, these are like 1,000 pages. There was a big compendium volume of Robin, but not Dick Grayson's Robin, Tim Drake Robin. That I'm pretty sure that I don't know a lot of those issues. That would be a lot of fun. But I haven't checked it out. My initial idea about the compendium volumes is that they were really weird. That DC had chosen a lot of second and third string stuff to put in their compendium volumes. You'd think if you were starting off a new reprint line, you would start with Batman, not Nightwing. Even though this run is great, you would start with Batman or you would start with Superman. And they didn't do that. Maybe they've gone on to do that. Maybe there are more now. Yet another DC reprint initiative. I swear this was not planned. These are all just stuck here. This is another reprint edition of theirs. This is DC Finest, which is their answer to the Epic Collection. And I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that DC Finest, the entire print run of DC Finest, which is, again, like the Epic Collection, full-color reprint comics, I believe this entire run is due not only to BookTube in general, but to Michael K. Vaughan in specific. But they're wonderful volumes, really, really well done, and this is the one that, of course, I got. Zap goes the Legion, because this is the Legion of Superheroes. And these are weird. I was expecting this to be a fairly pro forma reprint volume that would encompass the stuff you expect from the Legion of Superheroes. That it would start with Adventure Comics, it would start with their introduction, it would move on from there, and it doesn't do that. It bounces all around. I would love to know the story of how the editorial task on this volume broke down. I would love to know who put this volume together. I think they have a sweet spot for a couple of characters, one of whom is a footnote in Legion history. There was a character called Chemical King. And his superpower, in order to be in the Legion, you have to have a superpower that none of the other members have. Of course, they waived the rules for Kryptonians, as you would too if you had a team. But Chemical King can speed up or slow down chemical reactions at will in other things. He doesn't have to be in a lab to do it. He can do it at will in other things. And for some odd reason, not only did Legion writers consider him to be an add-on, basically as dumb a character as Matter Eater Lad, but that he also considered himself to be a second-rate Legionnaire, a third-rate Legionnaire, not worthy to be on a mission with Superboy or Ultra Boy or something like that, when nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. What happens if you slow down or even stop the chemical reactions in your opponent's brain? Well, if you can do that, and apparently Chemical King can do that, then why couldn't he do that to a Kryptonian? Why isn't he the most powerful Legionnaire? But the writers thought that he was negligible because they killed him off, and rather unceremoniously, too. All right. Then we've got some more of these. Okay, so this is going to be graphic novel heavy. We have, this is from, I don't remember it might have been Archie Comics itself. This is Archie Comics. I have a bunch of Archie Comics. This is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. A graphic novel of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, only updated. The basics are all still in place, but this is updated from modern sensibilities, and I thought it was quite good. I actually think, was this... Kelly Thompson is the writer for these. Well, I thought they were quite good. I've yet to read one of these updated Archie comics that I didn't like, which is kind of odd, considering that I'm not all that huge a fan of the original. Then we have another great graphic novel. This is just an extra. I found it on the sidewalk. This is Batman Year One. This is Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, and this is them telling the story of how Batman becomes Batman, hunted by the police, misunderstood by everyone, misunderstanding himself in large part until the end of the book. I've talked about this endlessly on my channel. It is just terrific. It is every bit as good as it is praised to be. Then we have another thing that I found on the sidewalk. This is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. This has a new cover. The original cover for Secret Wars #1 doesn't look like this. This is, but it is a reprint of Secret Wars, where the superheroes of Marvel Comics get transported to a weird alien world, and so do the supervillains. The supervillains also get transported there, and the two groups have to fight. And it's largely bad. It's largely ad hoc. There are some moments that are neat, like, for instance, at one point in an issue, the heroes based on this alien world is facing not a supervillain attack, but a massive storm. Wind and rain and lightning, but on a scale and a ferocity unknown on Earth. We're told we're given specifics about the storm, that the raindrops are hitting like bullets, that the wind is hard enough to, like each raindrop hits like a .44 Magnum slug. The thunder alone would kill a normal person. We're told that all of the superheroes are cowering inside, except one. Thor is not only out in the storm, utterly unflinched by its ferocity, but he's enjoying himself. That's Mike Zeck artwork. That's a great panel. I wish that this thing were full of panels like that. At one point, Iron Man is talking with Captain Marvel, and says that in that rain, the wind drops hit like .44 Magnum slugs, and thunder alone would kill a normal, unprotected man. Tell me, how can Thor survive that? He's a card-carrying thunder god, right? Isn't he, like, in charge of the weather? Why doesn't he stop the storm? And she says, I think he likes it. He's probably encouraging it. And that is great. That moment is great. I wish that moments like that happened more often. But I found it for free. I wasn't about to leave it there to the wilds of nature. And then this is the third thing. These things just stayed together. I found this for free as well that same day. This is another Batman thing. This is Batman, A Lonely Place of Dying, where Batman and his extended group deal with the death of Robin, where they deal with the death of a Robin, not Tim Drake and not Dick Grayson, but a different Robin. And it's syrupy, it's soap opera-y, but I hadn't seen this graphic novel in forever. And then to find it on the sidewalk just free was fine by me. And that finishes up the stuff in the front and the Transwise books. So now I have a decision to make, because the entire shelf here in front of me now, and just books normally put on shelves, is all graphic novels. And I don't know how much of interest that would be. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the library tour is for me, but or I guess I could do it and just mark it so that you know that it's all graphic novels, so you can skip that video if you want to. I could probably do that, because I kind of want to keep going with organizing this whole space, and that's what this whole shelf is. Before we move on to books again. Okay, well maybe I'll do that. I'll give it some thought. But anyway, that's this shelf, and it is now, aside from the books that are actually sitting on the shelf, the front and the tops of books are now completely clear. So it gives me a perfect opportunity to reassess where these things are, where they're going. This is great. I'm going to clean out the hutch. Fantastic. I ought to do this once a month instead of once every 5 years. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.